Mr. Kidd, you say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, Nathaniel, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind games have wreaked emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive you are her son's father. Ms. Rawlings, you say Mr. Kidd is fully aware he is not Nathaniel's father, as he himself told you he cannot have children. You say Mr. Rawlings and his mother are two desperate people who convinced themselves Mr. Kidd is your son's father, and you intend to prove them wrong today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kidd, why are you so convinced you are Nathaniel's father?
Well, Your Honor, when this first started off, she came to me and told me that he was mine. She was sending me letters when I was gone.
And so you were away when she found out she was pregnant?
I was away about a month after. I went away a month after she found out she was pregnant.
Okay. And did you tell him it was his child, Ms. Rawlings?
No, Your Honor. How it happened was we met through a mutual friend, and I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd starting off. My mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I was in, I didn't have anywhere to go. And that's how me and Mr. Kidd ended up having relations, because I was staying with him. But as, everything progressed and everything started off, somehow another female came into the picture, and I went off and did my own thing and was dealing with him and another gentleman also around the time that I conceived my child. So,
what was your relationship with this man like?
We were in a serious relationship, and I was actually at some point, once I left from being around Mr. Kidd, that I was actually staying with him.
So how often were you with Mr. Kidd, and how often were you with the other guy?
Pretty much going back and forth, because I was staying with him and I was leaving from being with Mr. Kidd to going with him and coming back to Mr. Kidd.
Did you tell him, Ms. Rawlings, that he was Nathaniel's biological father?
No, ma'am.
You never told him that?
No, ma'am.
You just told him you were pregnant, and then somehow he assumed he was the father?
When I found out I was pregnant, Mr. Kidd told me himself that he has some type of rare form blood disease, and that me and his child would die if I was pregnant by him.
Oh, he had a rare blood disease.
No.
And if he got you pregnant, the baby would not be able to be carried full term?
Your Honor, it's not a rare blood disease. I am ARH negative, and he is ARH negative. If she's RH positive and doesn't get the necessity shot during the pregnancy, it could prevent her from having future children, or that child could pass away.
Okay, so Mr. Kidd, did you ever tell Ms. Rawlings you didn't believe you could have children?
Yes, ma'am. I informed her of the situation because I'm typically in a long-term relationship. I've never had any kind of hiccups, any thinking that they might be pregnant, any slip-ups. No.
You've never gotten anyone pregnant?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Jenkins, when did you find out about the baby?
It was approximately the mid of August of 2016.
And at that time, were you aware that your son was in a relationship with Ms. Rawlings?
No.
We've never been in a relationship.
So it wasn't just a sexual relationship?
No, ma'am. We were just, she just needed somewhere to stay. So I was just looking out for her, and it just became a sexual encounter.
It was an encounter?
No, ma'am.
More than one, but,
So that's what we call a sexual relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a form of a relationship where you have sex, but you have no commitment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Ms. Jenkins, how do you find out about the baby?
I got a phone call from my daughter, and she said, "Mom, you need to look at this picture." Sent me a picture of the baby. I was like, who got my son's baby pictures? She said, "That's not your son." I said, "Yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is." She said, "That's his son." And I was like, "What? Hold on, no, why am I just now hearing about this?" So I contacted his friend who gave me Miss Rawlings' number. I called her and asked, we talked for a couple weeks, and I asked if I could see the baby, and she said yes. We were at a park. He was in a car or a stroller, and I said hey to her. I said, "But you know what I'm here for," and I went straight to the baby. Picked him up, had said, "Hey, Sugarfoot," and he smiled, and we played, and it was honestly the best day of my life. I'm holding my grandson. I know it's mine. And I have pictures
I'd like to see those.
of both my babies.
And when you look at these pictures, what do you see?
My son.
Your son on the left, and that's Nathaniel on the right. And you really believe, as you look at those pictures, that's your grandson.
Yeah.
And as we take a look at the second picture, it's Mr. Kidd as a teen and Nathaniel.
Oh, he has my lips.
And you think they look exactly alike, minus your lips, those are your lips.
He's got my lips.
Okay, so you look exactly alike. Miss Rawlings, you began to let Ms. Jenkins have visitation with the baby.
Me being me as a mother, and I wasn't able to grow up with my father. If Mr. Kidd can't see the moments that he's missing, at least his mom will be able to have them, and his family has some stories to tell.
Yes.
Just in case.
And I completely understand that. And it's truly a beautiful sentiment. But as you stand here at the defendant podium, you say you know Mr. Kidd is not your child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a manipulation tactic.
It was, as long as you were giving her what she wanted and needed at the time, it was okay. I've never one time been told I wasn't the grandmother. She did not ever say that she doubted full-heartedly that Kevin was the father. She said it's a possibility between this one guy and my son. And as I sent her pictures, she's like, yes, I believe it's Kevin's. It's Kevin's. It's gotta be.
Miss Rawlings, did the other guy, the other potential father, did he ever acknowledge that he could be the father or express interest in being in Nathaniel's life?
Yes, he did, because he was the one that actually told me to get a test to see if I was pregnant. And me and him were sick together. And he actually reached back out to me because he had some other situations going on, looking at pictures, and he questioned it again. He was like, are you sure the other guy is your child's father? Because he looks like me. And going through pictures, Dad, even his brothers said, yeah, he has our nose. He looks like us.
So the other guy thinks
Nathaniel
Nathaniel looks like him too.
Yes, and he favors his daughter.
And where is the other guy now?
He's in another state, but he
So
still
he's in
reaches
another
out.
state.
Yes, he still reaches out and check on him.
Okay, does he have a relationship with Nathaniel? Does he see him ever?
The other guy actually came to the hospital after I gave birth to Nathaniel, and they instantly, you seen it in his face and in Nathaniel's face, his face lit up. And even his brother was there and was like, yeah, man, that's your son.
The other guy?
Yes, because he
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No, because I didn't have my ID with me at the time.
So there's no one listed as father on Nathaniel's birth certificate?
No, Your Honor.
I had him for a period of time. You took him back. We went through that phase, and now we're back at the point where you're sending me pictures every day again, video chats every day, we speak every day, we text every day.
Miss Jenkins, you said you had the baby for a while. What do you mean by that?
She was going through a situation and got kicked out of where she lived because her choice of men are not just the greatest, I guess, in the world. He wasn't safe, she wasn't safe. She was trying to get her life together. She gave me the baby for a period of time with a handwritten...
How long?
I had him for a month and a couple days. And I got a handwritten letter of custody.
Let me see that, Jerome.
No, it wasn't.
You said it was a handwritten letter of custody.
Temporary custody.
Because of the fact that I had got a job that was paying $10 an hour, and I didn't have anybody to watch him. And at the same time, trying to figure out who's going to watch my child, and me not knowing how I'm going to be able to feed my child, how he's going to take his bath. I chose it to where that since she was there, that my child
at that specific time, you did not have a job yet. You had already lost a job 2 days before that. You gave me
let me read this letter. You wrote, I, Taneva Rawlings, the parent of Nathaniel Rawlings, I give Tammy Jenkins temporary physical custody of my son.
Because of the fact that once I told my stepmom, I came to the decision where when I lost the job because I didn't have a babysitter, And I wanted that job, so in order for me to be able to get on my feet, because I was also planning to go back to school and get everything situated, so I couldn't set up somebody to watch my child. So
I
was just trying to
understand.
work that out.
Listen, Miss Rawlings, I can see you are a young woman. I can see you're a young girl. I understand that you got yourself in a situation, you were in a situation where you didn't know who your child's father was, and you were trying to do, I sincerely believe, what was best for your child. You basically, in that moment, trying to get your child to a safe place.
Yes.
All right. And so, Mr. Kidd, you presented evidence to the court in your paperwork that suggested you had another medical issue which would prevent you from impregnating Ms. Rawlings. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, the court wanted to get down to the bottom of this particular situation because we were very concerned about this information and wanted to be accurate in our assessment of it. So we've called upon one of our experts, Dr. Jamila Gator. Jerome, will you please escort Dr. Gator into the courtroom? Yes. I'd like to ask her a couple questions.
Hey, doctor. Gonna have you go up to the witness stand. Watch your step.
Hi, Dr. Gator.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here discussing the paternity of baby Nathaniel, and we have spoken with Mr. Kidd about a medical issue. What is your assessment of this particular medical situation?
So I think there's two separate issues here. There was an issue about Rh blood incompatibility.
Yes.
And that has to do with a mother and a baby. And if there's different blood types between the father of the baby, positive and negative. But that really doesn't have anything to do with the ability to father a child.
Okay.
He had a separate issue, which was a childhood infection. And so there are various childhood infections, from mumps to repeated urinary tract infections to STIs like gonorrhea and chlamydia. Those can cause inflammation in the testicles, which then causes scarring and makes it difficult for you to emit sperm. So if the infection is appropriately treated, then the fertility rates are normal.
So you're saying that this condition he basically dealt with as a child, that does not necessarily preclude him from being able to father a child after this condition has passed, or?
Correct, after the infection has been treated, correct. Only a small percentage of males will go on to have infertility from those childhood infections.
A small percentage.
Correct.
So, Ms. Rawlings, after you've heard the testimony of the doctor, does that change your mind in terms of your belief? Because when you came in, you don't really think he's the biological father.
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Kidd, if Nathaniel is proven not to be your biological child, grandchild, do you still want to maintain a relationship with him?
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be devastated, because that's supposed to be my first child, and it's a boy. You know what I'm saying? I'll be around. I'll help out as much as I can, but I couldn't take care of him as if he was my child.
All right. I think I've heard enough. I'm ready for the results. Jerome? Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Kidd versus Rawlings, when it comes to 10-month-old Nathaniel Rawlings, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Kidd, you are the father. You are the father.
Thank you.
And at least, even the fact that he said that he would have stood up, that was what I was still going for, period. The fact that that is his son, I am happy, because me and him, we don't have a hate-type relationship, and that I knew he's a good man at heart and he has a good heart. And knowing that me and him could be on some type of page, that my child will have his biological mother and father.
Don't hug her.
And he has a family, something that I really didn't have.
Hey, you do now. You got a big family now. Come here, my baby.
Ms. Cavanaugh, you appeared in our courtroom previously and tested 2 men as potential fathers of your 1-month-old son, Malcolm.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, neither turned out to be his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, today, you believe Malcolm's biological father is a good friend of your mother's, the defendant, Mr. Spence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Spence, you're a friend of Ms. Cavanaugh's mother and say her daughter made several attempts to have sex with you. Then, after a lapse in judgment, you admit you did sleep with her. Now you say there's a chance you could be Malcolm's father. Ms. Cavanaugh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your mother's friend?
Yes, Your Honor. I know how bad it sounds. It is bad. I started calling him up, asking for like rides, to the grocery store, to get stuff from my house, and subconsciously I was trying to try to seduce him. I was wearing inappropriate things around him.
And why were you doing this?
In all honesty, I was drinking a lot. And I don't know if I did it for a challenge or because I was wanting attention. It was just something that I did that was really stupid of me at the time.
And so was he just a friend of your mother's, or did you know whether or not he was intimate with your mother?
That I do not know of. I just know that they were really good friends. That's all I know.
Mr. Spence?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you enlighten the court on the nature of your relationship with Ms. Cavanaugh's mother?
It's like she said, we just friends. We've been friends since the first time we met.
So it was never a sexual relationship, ever?
No.
That was not that believable, but I'm gonna move on. How did you end up being in the position you were sleeping with your really good friend's daughter?
It was like she said, came over a couple of times. She was in inappropriate gear. The first time, I shunned it off. Second time, I said, hey, watch yourself. Third time, it's starting to look good. Fourth time, lapse in judgment, and here we are today.
Wow. So how many times were you intimate with her?
Once.
Just once?
Just once.
Just one time, Ms.
Your
Cavanaugh?
Honor, I do not believe it to be once. It was at least twice, but that's just how I remember it.
And now, we have Malcolm, 1 month old. And your mother's friend could be his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So as you look at Malcolm, do you see Mr. Spence, any resemblance?
I see a little bit, but from being in court previously, I found out that you can't always go on looks at all.
Absolutely. So, when you found out you were pregnant, did Mr. Spence's name come to mind immediately?
No, Your Honor. It really was like, I thought Mr. Bowles was the dad. Well, after the court, I started thinking, well, he could be a possibility that Mr. Spence is the father. And I texted him, and I asked him, when was the last time we had sex? He told me it was the end of October.
And when was Malcolm born?
He was born July 9th.
So when you do the math on that, that's
Yes, Your Honor.
about the window of
Yes,
conception.
Your Honor.
I think we need to hear from your mother. Ma'am, please stand. Welcome back, Ms. Cavanaugh. I have to ask you, how did it feel to learn that your daughter was sleeping with your very good friend?
It was very devastating, just because the relationship was inappropriate. I felt betrayed. Actually, when we were together, all in the same room, I noticed them looking at each other a little differently.
You did?
Yeah, I knew my gut
woman's
told-
intuition.
Exactly. So I questioned each of them. They each denied that anything had happened. Then basically how I found out, one day Megan was angry with me and we had kind of a little tiff or whatever. It was kind of a big tiff, but when we did, she blurted out that you were right, and I did sleep with Ken.
Really?
He eventually did come clean and tell me the truth, and he told me the same story that he told you today, Your Honor, that she was coming on to him.
Ma'am, I'd like to hear from you now. Please stand as well, yes, and step to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi.
You are?
I'm Megan's sister.
All right.
Okay.
And what do you know about this situation, ma'am?
Okay, I know my mom and him had like a best friend connection. And one day, me and Megan went to go meet Ken. It was just me and Megan. And she was like getting something from him. I think it was like some money or something. And Megan told me, she was like, don't tell mom that I had intimate with him. And then I went to go, because my mom was wondering, asking Megan questions, and Megan was denying it. Mm-hmm. But that's my mother. I'm gonna tell my mom. So I come clean. That's how my mom found out, is that it was intimate is because of me.
I do admit that I did come on to him, and it was probably really a strong come on.
You did admit that in
he
court.
But he is a grown man. He could have told me no.
It goes both ways.
What would you like to add, Mr. Spence?
First of all, I didn't mean for this to happen. Yes, I got weak. Yes, I am a man. Yes, I could have told you no. I told you no thrice. As far as the baby being mine, I don't know. That's why I'm here to clear this up.
So, Mr. Spence, let me ask you this. Are you in a relationship?
I'm married.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I do understand why you're hoping he's not your child.
That's not what I'm hoping.
What are you hoping?
I hope for the truth. If he is my son, like I told her, I'm gonna be there.
Why exactly do you have doubts?
My doubt is, first of all, it was only once.
The window of conception that she describes. Baby
there.
born in July.
I'm there, yeah.
So you
I'm
within the
period.
window of conception.
I'm in
you
that
don't
period.
dispute that.
That I do not dispute.
All
That's
right.
why I'm here.
Right.
That is why I'm here.
Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not she was sleeping with other people during
Yes.
that time?
Yes, she told me.
Oh, so she told you?
Yes.
What did she say?
I'm sleeping with other people. I got a boyfriend.
Oh,
Which was Mr. Bowles at the time, Your Honor.
understood.
Yeah.
But we also know that there was Mr. Scott, too.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I
He's
knew
been
about that.
tested and he's here. So describe your relationship with Mr. Scott.
I was hanging out at the pool one day. I met him. He told me he had a girlfriend and kids and all this other stuff. So we didn't do anything the very first night, we just drank a little bit, got to know each other. Second night, we hung out, and yes, we did have intercourse. And that went on for like maybe a week or two. And we wore condoms every single time, except for one time. We got very intoxicated, and that's how that night happened.
And so this was also during the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Jerome, I'm ready to meet Mr. Scott.
Bring you up to the witness stand next to the judge.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Scott. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice to meet you.
We understand that you had a sexual relationship with Miss Cavanaugh,
Yes, ma'am.
and it was during the window of conception. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You were not using protection?
I use protection every time. I don't recall, not using protection.
So you don't recall. Now, she says there was an instance when you did not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say there was no instance?
No, ma'am. I strongly, I don't believe that, Malcolm is mine.
You don't?
I don't.
Have you seen a picture of him?
Yes, ma'am. I seen the picture. She sent me a picture. My mom seen the baby and said the baby looked like me. This is my baby picture.
Let me see. This is your baby picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there we go.
along with Malcolm's baby picture. Your mother says when she saw the picture, he looks like you.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't see it?
I mean, I see the jaws in the head, but you can't really just go by the, the looks.
Have you met Malcolm? Have you bonded with him, been a part of his life?
No, ma'am, I mean, I'm just now hearing that, she had a baby a couple weeks ago. When she, she texted me and said, I need you to take a DNA test. I had a baby on such and such.
Your Honor, the first time I told him I was pregnant was when I first found out. And he told me there's no way that is his, no way. And we never talked after that, ever. Until a week or two ago when I found my old phone trying to look for people that, I was sexually involved with.
Wow.
And I found his number.
And so these are the last two possibilities, Ms. Cavanaugh?
There's one more, Your Honor. Your Honor, when I said I was highly intoxicated, I was going through a lot. I was going to work drunk,
Yeah, we was drinking.
Yeah, everywhere. If something bad happened to me, Your Honor, I would want to drink. Something good happened to me, Your Honor, I would want to drink.
So let's get one thing straight. You know you can't drink your problems away.
Yes, I found
And you
it out.
see that.
Yes, it creates
Because
more problems.
you didn't drink any problems away, you just created
it creates
more problems.
A lot.
And since you are a mother to a brand new innocent baby, this court's gonna require, no matter what the result is, that you get some counseling and you get some help as it relates to that drinking.
Yes,
understand? Because you can't do that.
I know.
That's no way to live. Mr. Scott, I gotta go back to you because at the point you found out Ms. Cavanaugh was pregnant, how were you notified?
I mean, she texted me at it was like 5, 6 in the morning. She just said she needed me to take a DNA test. Then, I agreed to it. And here we go right here.
And so if Malcolm is your biological child, are you ready to step up? What are your
Yes,
intentions?
ma'am. I'm really, I take full responsibility. If the baby's mine, I'll be there. I mean, there's no more I can, say. It'll be my baby.
I think it's time for the results.
You okay?
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Cavanaugh v. Spence Scott, when it comes to the paternity of 1-month-old Malcolm Cavanaugh, Mr. Scott, you are not his father. Are you ready for the next result? You okay?
Hey, I'm just nervous because I know I made mistakes and I can't change them.
It's okay. All you can do is go forward.
Ms. Cavanaugh, you said Mr. Spence and you were best friends. How will this affect your friendship if, in fact, he is the biological father of your grandson?
I mean, at this point, when I first found out, I was upset just because they were so dishonest with me. But at this point, I mean, I want her to have help. I love my daughter, regardless. And he's a great person. I'm sure he'd be a great father. It's not the ideal situation or whatever, but Malcolm needs a dad, and Megan, needs someone to help her raise her son. I'm sorry it wasn't you.
That's all right.
In the case of Cavanaugh versus Spence Scott, when it comes to the paternity of 1-month-old Malcolm Cavanaugh, Mr. Spence, you. In the case of Cavanaugh versus Spence Scott, when it comes to the paternity of 1-month-old Malcolm Cavanaugh, Mr. Spence, you are not his father.
It's okay.
Miss Cavanaugh, we back here again.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know this isn't where you wanted to be.
It's okay.
I never wanted to be this person, Your Honor.
You know what, look. Yes, you've done some things you're not proud of.
I can't.
Moving on, as I say in this courtroom all the time, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And your baby's counting on you. Mom, sister, I commend you for just standing with her. It's not easy.
We're so close. No matter what, nobody could stop that.
Good day, Mr. Barron. You are here today along with your wife to seek results of a long overdue paternity test. You claim that Ms. Bradshaw has been claiming you are her son, Ian's father, for more than 25 years and has financially drained you by forcing you to pay support for a child you believe isn't yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Furthermore, you claim you will return to court to sue for $21,600 in what you say were fraudulent child support payments when you prove your paternity claims are correct.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bradshaw, you admit you've completely confused your son, Ian Scott, by lying to him about his father's identity over the years. But you claim you believe Mr. Barron is your son's biological father. Your son will join us in a moment, and you are hoping today's DNA results will finally give him his full identity.
Yes.
Now, Mrs. Barron, why do you believe Ms. Bradshaw is lying about your husband being her son's father?
She's a liar. I've been with him for 25 years and I don't have any children to him.
How could you be with him for 25 years when my son is 25? We
Because-
were not with him at the same time.
So,
I've been with him
explain
for
to me.
25 years. I've
you
been married
didn't.
with him for 13 years. I don't even think he can have children. I think he's sterile.
So you're saying in all of the years you've been together, you've never conceived a child with
No,
him?
ma'am. And I
did,
sure
but
did.
not with
I
him,
sure
with
did. That has
someone
nothing to
else.
do with him.
Yeah, but you cheated on him.
Oh, and you didn't.
You always had to be with the
Hold
guy
on
that
one
I was
second.
with.
Hold on one second. Now, Mrs. Barron, I'm trying to understand from you. Why do you believe she's lying? I mean, this has been a long-standing accusation. Your husband's been paying child support. Why?
She's a liar. She told him that it was his child. He believed it. He took responsibility for it, and then she blames 3 different men. The father, it can only be one father.
Ms. Bradshaw, you admitted that you lied. Why did you lie about the paternity?
Okay, I was ashamed of him.
I'd like to know why, too.
I was ashamed of
Because you
him and
you
his
put my
family
husband
for
in jail
one.
twice.
No, I didn't.
For this child.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Saying
did.
he was the father. He was on the paper.
Calm down. Fill me in on this. Mr. Barron went to jail twice for unpaid child support.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Explain yourself.
Okay. I took him for child support, and when we went in and had the hearing, I was under the understanding that he wasn't gonna sign the paper that he was gonna get DNA because his dad even said that he would pay for the DNA. And that's what I thought he was going to do. He was
Well,
going to
what
request
happened?
DNA.
Yeah, because
he signed
you
the
tricked
paper.
him into it and
No,
said,
I
"Oh,
did
I
not.
love you. It's
No, I
my
did not.
son."
No, he wanted to be with me.
Well, I didn't say not because he's married to me.
I told him it was over.
No, I told you.
Oh, yeah, right. Really?
you shot
All right,
my
all
brother.
right,
Yeah, no, I
ladies and
didn't.
gentlemen,
Yes, you
ladies
did.
and
No, I
gentlemen.
didn't.
So you thought he was going to take the DNA test.
Yes.
Why didn't you take the DNA test, Mr. Barron?
Because I thought it was my child. And then she started cheating on me, sleeping around and stuff, and I just told her it was over.
What did you find out specifically?
Maybe 3 weeks after we was together and stuff. Found out she slept with my brother.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
She's
you
dating
did.
his cousin
She's dating my cousin.
now.
You're
Keep it
dating
in
his
the
cousin
She's
right
with
now?
my
Yes.
cousin right now.
But we'll just keep it in the family, but I'm the bad
mean-
girl because I helped pay for his child support.
Hopefully
They took out
it is my
Social
son.
And she's saying it's this other man's kid. Why didn't he go for SSI? He was dead. She could have got SSI for 18 years and wouldn't have to worry about it.
So, Ms. Bradshaw, did you ever tell your son that anyone else could potentially be his father?
I told him what Mike was.
Yeah, he took her to a dead man's grave and said, this is your son.
Ms. Bradshaw, I need to understand this. You took your son to the grave.
Yes,
The
I did.
deceased man that you told him
Yes, I did.
was his father.
Yes, I did. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong for doing it because I knew that it wasn't his.
You knew when
Yes.
you took him to the grave
Yes,
that
yes, I
it
did.
wasn't his
But
father.
I wanted him to be. Me and him was going to get married and have more kids and be a family.
But I
and that
screwed that
didn't
up.
happen because he died.
So the whole time you were telling your son that this deceased man was his father
Yes.
and taking him to the grave
but my
site, you
husband
were
had to pay child
collecting the
support.
child support from Mr. Barron
Yes.
and cashing the checks.
But telling him it's
Yes.
another guy.
Ms. Bradshaw.
I know, I was wrong. And I regret it. And I told my son that I was wrong. But I didn't want to share my son. I did not want my son around them.
That's
I did. I
life.
seen him twice all his life. This is the lady I
yeah,
married, and
Christmas
this is
Eve
the lady I
when
want
you
to
came
be
over to my
with.
house in '96 and seen the son.
Yeah, the only time that
Yeah.
when we split up,
Because-
then you loved him
Split
again.
up.
All right,
That's
let's
Love him
get
again,
some
believe
order. Mr. Barron, so even after all these years that you've paid child support, in your heart, you have doubt. You don't believe you're his father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
I'm hoping I am, but
You are hoping that you
yeah,
are.
I'm hoping I am.
In your statement to the court, you enumerated many reasons why you had this doubt, including,
Because she slept around on me,
and why did
and
you,
he does not look like me.
he doesn't look like you.
No, he does not look like me.
Did she ever tell you you weren't the
Yes,
father?
she told me many a times, Your Honor. She did. Many a time she told me.
Did you,
that.
Miss Bradshaw?
Yes.
He's paid more than $20,000 in child support
Yes.
over the years.
Yes.
And to this day, he doesn't know if he's truly his father.
But he could have if he would have requested DNA at the beginning of all this.
You could have just
When
said,
I
hey, why
told
don't you
him
see my
I
son?
did. You was not
Wait
there,
a minute, wait a
Sharon.
minute, wait a minute. You
don't
keep
know.
saying if he would have requested DNA, but if you would have been honest, then he wouldn't
I
have felt
was
so
honest, Your Honor.
confident.
No, you wasn't honest.
I told him from the beginning. I even told his mother and father. That is why the father said, I will pay for the DNA, because he knew that the chance that he might not be the father.
But he just said that he was certain that the child was his
Father.
until you got back
not
home
true.
and you were cheating.
No, it's not how it took.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
How has this uncertainty, this entire saga that you created, affected your relationship with your son?
We have problems. Mainly because of him knowing that Mike's not his dad and what I did.
I'm ready to hear from your son. Jerome, if you could please escort Mr. Scott into the courtroom, please. Welcome, Mr. Scott.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Your mother has admitted to lying to you, specifically taking you to a deceased man's grave and telling you that that was your father.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you feel? How are you
When
doing
I
with your mom?
first found out that the guy that's dead wasn't my father, I was just devastated. I was very angry with her, and I just had so many emotions built up. And I kept after her about who my father was because Don was paying child support. I never got to see him. We never had a relationship. There was rumors floating around. We live in a small town, so it's easy to hear things. And I went to the dead man's parents' house, and I knocked on the door, and they let me in, and they talked to me, and they told me that he couldn't be the father because my mother had gotten with him after I was born.
Oh. How'd that feel?
It was horrible. I felt like I lost my dad again, you know. He was really the only dad I knew. You know, I would go to his grave every year. When I had problems, I would go and talk to the grave. It just felt horrible. I just don't understand how my mom could have told me all those years that he was my dad when she knew that he wasn't.
You can't even look at your mom today, can
It's hard.
you?
It's very hard.
What do you want to say to her?
I just would like to know why. Why I was lied to all these years, several different lies. And that's why I'm here today. I want to know if Dawn is my dad. And
Mr. Barron, you're very emotional as well.
Yes.
What are you feeling?
Feeling upset. I just hope he is my kid, and I just wish, you know, I could have had a life with him.
He would never pushed him away. His mother always pushed him away.
Ms. Bradshaw, you are very emotional now, and you've told your story, and you've admitted to your lies, and you said you've apologized. Is there something you'd like to say to your son?
I'm so sorry. I'm truly, truly sorry. I was so wrong. As much as I hate the fact that Don could be your father, I should have told you from the beginning, and we should have done this sooner. I'm so sorry. It wasn't you, it was me. And it wasn't even them. As much as I hate Sharon, it wasn't even them. It was me.
She made me all she wants.
Yeah, but I'll admit when I do something wrong, it's my son. And Ian, I am very, very sorry. Words can't say how sorry I am. If I could take it back, I would.
Don't change the fact, though. I just always wondered who my father was. And I just always wanted to have a relationship with him.
I know.
I have a family now. I have a wife and a son. And if Dawn is my family, I would like to, you know.
And we will welcome you with open arms.
You know,
The same as we would have whenever you were a baby, even though she didn't like me.
Will you please stand, ma'am? State your name for the court.
Brittany Scott.
I know, it's very emotional. And it's hard to see your husband hurting in this way. You probably know him best, and why do you feel it's so important for him to know now who his father is?
Because he's been wanting to know for a long time now, and I know how bad it hurts him. I married him last March, and shortly after I became pregnant. And he said that he would always vow that he wanted to be in the kid's life. Like, he would read before the baby was even born and stuff. And because he never had a dad, so he always wanted to be that father figure.
Yeah.
And when I was 8 months pregnant, I lost the baby.
I'm so sorry.
And it's hard for both of us. But I think it's time for him to know who his dad is.
You think it's time for him to know?
I know it's time.
Well, the results are in. Mr. Scott, what are you hoping for today? How do we move forward either way?
If he is my dad, I just want to, you know, start to have a family with them as well. Show my son that he has a grandfather, you know, something I never had.
Your mother wants a relationship with you, I know.
We will still have a relationship, I'm sure. We've fought a lot when I was younger. I was very, very, very angry when I was younger over all this. Since I've become a father and a husband, I kind of mellowed out, and I just want to do what's best for my family at this point.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're ready for the results. Jerome, do you have the envelope? I do. Thank you. Jerome, do you have the envelope? I do. Thank you. This report was prepared by DNA Diagnostics. In the case of Barron versus Bradshaw, when it comes to Ian Scott, Mr. Barron, you are not the father. You okay, Mr. Scott?
Just confused again. I don't know where to go from here.
Your son says he doesn't know where to go from here, and you're the only person in this room that could help direct him. Do you have any idea who his father could be in light of these results?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And I'd like you to help me find who his real father is.
Mr. Barron, how do you feel?
Upset. Like I said, he can come see me anytime. As far as I consider it, he is my son. I paid for him for 18 years, sat in jail. He is my son.
I know the disappointment that you feel because the not knowing, I'm sure, can be overwhelming. But your mother has agreed in front of this court to give you and to give us information on who she believes is your father. And we will follow up on that. You can follow up on that. Mr. Barron asked for your petition to receive the $21,600 you've paid in child support. This court is not the place where that type of judgment would be awarded. However, you can pursue that claim in your home state and understand that not every state allows for those funds to be returned because the funds are for the child. We'll be checking on you, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned.